Good evening, everyone who is tuning in. As John stated there, we are delighted to be doing the community sponsorship as Doras. And the most important thing, as they say, it's a new program, and we are delighted to be involved as regional support. So I'll go through in terms of the stages and what is the role and what is community sponsorship with that regard. So first and foremost, I'll just just offer an introduction about myself before I go into the presentation first and foremost. So my name is Ahmed Hassan, and I've been working in this area and I've been involved in Doras for quite a while now, almost 5 years going to. So in terms of different aspect of working, I worked in the resettlement program in Limerick, where the program refugees that were resettled in Limerick, in general, I was involved in terms of their transition, in terms of helping their day in, day out issues that they had, and all aspects of their lives while they're in Ireland. So it is something that I'm looking forward as this new program, while the community welcomed the Syrian resettled under the normal situation. So this will be a great kind of community itself coming together and doing it as a whole. So from that backdrop, I'll just say, what is community sponsorship? So community sponsorship, it's a new kind of a way of resettlement program refugees. So it was launched in 2019 in March, and it is overseen by the Department of Justice and UNHCR. But also in terms of, as John mentioned, there's different other RSO that are working in this area. So ourselves, we are based in the Midwest, and there's also NASC and Irish Refugee Council also, they're involved in terms of the group. So at the moment, as I said, it's a new program, but the easiest way to go around it in terms of all this, we are all working in tandem in terms of supporting communities who are willing to kind of involve in the community sponsorship. So ideally, at the moment, it's, as I said, it started in 2019 it was launched, and we're at the moment with the situation with the pandemic, it's kind of hard to kind of meet with the groups and having the conversation and discuss all these other situations. But we hope soon enough in terms of things will open up. But it's a program that has worked very well in terms of in different places, in Canada, Germany, Argentina, New Zealand, UK, and also Italy. So I have a small synopsis of a video of a family that was moved to Wicklow. So it's just a small video to just show you in terms of how the community can come together and support. Then I'll continue with the presentation. Sorry.
Sorry, Ahmed, the video isn't visible, I think.
احنا بالبيت.
It's invisible. Okay.
طلع انقصف البيت. الحمد لله طلعنا بعدين لهون.
Okay. Have they seen it? Is it visible now, John?
Yes,
it is.
Okay.
Yes, visible now.
عمرنا بيت أنا ومروان سوا يعني، وما أعرف رحنا بالبيت وقت لما انقصف البيت. الحمد لله طلعنا بعدين لهون.
We didn't sit down at the first meeting and say, let's see if we can bring a family to Wicklow. We sat down to say, what can we do for Syria?
Everybody's been so active. All the clubs, societies, from the rugby club to the active retirement, have got involved to do something to help raise money.
Maybe government haven't done enough, maybe church leaders haven't done enough, we probably all haven't. We need more people with vision like Dermot had.
Dermot was one of the most amazing people, just a leader amongst men. And I got a phone call from him probably about 2.5 years ago. And he said, Mick, he said, do you remember the Special Olympics 2003?
We have been looking forward to this day, to this night, for a very long time.
He said, we hosted Syria in Wicklow at the time. And it only dawned on me then, yes, we did host Syria.
When you see the images on TV, you know, it's very easy to turn away. It's not in your world. But I think remembering that there were 12 Syrians who came here, we hosted them for 2 weeks in 2003, really made me think this is in our world. This is something we can do something about. Dermot Costello made everybody remember that and remember that we had a connection with Syria. And he felt that if every community on a local level did something, it would make a huge difference.
He said, listen, will you come on board, because we've got to do something. The conflict in Syria is horrendous. Followed that with a meeting in his kitchen, and the idea for Wicklow Syria Appeal was hatched.
So, in fact, it's become the biggest crisis of our day. And in fact, right now, the whole refugee crisis in the world is the biggest crisis since the Second World War. So it's been a really tough time for all those people.
The only reason I'm chair of Wicklow Syria Appeal is that my very good friend Dermot passed away in January. And being the man that he was, he knew that he wasn't going to see this project through. And so he put a lot of people in different positions within the group.
We wanted to provide a safe house within our community to a Syrian family by the community. The house that we're getting ready is for a family of 9, a mother and father and 7 children.
The family that we're sponsoring, the Al Suleimans, are from Homs in Syria. They left in 2013 and went to the Lebanon, where they were originally in a refugee camp there, but they're only allowed to stay there for about 9 months. They're currently in Mishmish. They've been there for a couple of years, but in total they've been in the Lebanon now for 5 years.
The local community have been just incredible, really incredible. We put out on our Facebook page that we were looking for a plasterer, and within 2 days we had a plasterer who came in free of charge and did all of the finishing work that we needed.
Just people messaging us directly on Facebook. One guy's a chef. He said, I want to cook a meal for the family when they arrive. Can you let me know? The other person had a TV, a DVD player, and would pay their TV license for the first year.
A local electrical supplier gave us all the electrical equipment we needed free of charge. It's incredible how if you just go out and ask and you say what it is you're asking for, how people want to help.
We're going to have a rota for the first few weeks of people who are going to call into them each day, bring them to different places in the town and introduce them to people to make it easier to integrate.
We've had a little bit of pushback on social media. A lot of it is just keyboard warriors, but a lot of people are saying, well, why aren't you doing this for our own, inverted commas? In many respects, what we're doing, although it's very much focused on helping refugee families coming into the country, it could be used for other purposes.
In Wicklow town, I think there's been a huge positive response to it, which is really heartwarming to see. There has been a few negative comments.
Nobody wants to be seen as being racist or being unwelcoming, but there are people who have genuine fear.
There might be a small fraction of people, due to the homelessness in Ireland as well. There's a bit of a problem with that at the moment, and people are a bit upset about it, but I know it's totally different. Like, they're coming from a lot worse things than what we can even imagine.
I'm feeling so excited. My heart is trembling. Allah
كان إحساس جميل كتير، ما بقدر أوصف لك إياه. يعني كتير حلو، كنت فرحانة كتير.
أول ما وصلنا هنا حسيت إنه ارتاحت نفسيتي. كنت بسوريا كان عندي محل للمفروشات والأدوات الكهربائية المنزلية. هلا الحياة بوقت الحرب أو وقت الثورة طبعا تعرضنا لحصار كتير، ما عاد تجي توصلنا مواد غذائية، مع في محلات مسكرة يعني أو متنهبة.
Homs is under siege.
They call Homs the capital of the revolution.
Their families killed.
Anytime we try to go and get something, they shoot at us, whether it's a child, a woman, or a man.
كان بدي أكون مرتاح وقت بشوف أطفالي عم يتعلموا بشكل صحيح.
أنا كان عمري 14 سنة لما الحرب بدأت عنا بسوريا. بسوريا أنا ما تاحت لي الفرصة ببلدي، يعني مع إني وصلت بس جيت بدي أدخل المدرسة فقامت الثورة عنا وانضربت المدرسة ما قدرت أكمل.
So I wanted to kind of give the gist in terms of the video. If you want, the video is at the end of the program, and we might send this to all the people who are registered if you want to have more information about the whole thing. So I just wanted to kind of continue in terms of, if you have time, we can finish the videos. So I'll just kind of give a backdrop with regard to what is happening in the world. There's almost 80 million people that are displaced at the moment around the world. So you can imagine the numbers. It's just astronomical having 80 people who are at the moment in a dire situation in the world. So it is something that in a community, if it is something we can do, and there is at least make sure that somebody is okay and they have their life and in a safe place, it will be ideal in terms of, if you look at those numbers, it's kind of sad when you look at the top sources in terms of the countries where they're hosting refugees around the world. Turkey is number one. It has almost 3.6 million people. So you can imagine with the context of the developing world and how it's happening, it's like communities out there can do more in terms of facilitating and also managing expectations. So who is eligible? So usually it's under the program that we're doing at the moment, it's only the Syrian refugees that are settled in Jordan and Lebanon are the ones.
Sorry, Ahmed.
Yes.
I'm just going to pop in here for a second just to ask you to share this presentation. It's not visible at the moment.
No problem. Let me share that. Can you see it now?
Not yet. It's still the video.
Okay.
Now we've got it. Thanks.
Okay. So with the context of the situation, you can see it now, yeah?
Yes,
Sorry,
we can.
It's gone back to.
Oh, that's the slide.
Ah, now we've got it.
Okay. So the people who are eligible at the moment, it's usually families, and it's a member of 4 to 5 members of the families. So what they're looking at, it's average in terms of household number, in terms of their needs and the situation that they're at in the refugee camp. So basically most of the time it's also the reason why they're looking at the family in terms of their needs and also the resources that are available on the ground, and in terms of the community, what they can provide for them. So the rights and entitlement of program refugees are more or less like an Irish person once they arrive in a country. But the problem for community sponsorship, it's totally different. This is usually, it's because it's community sponsorship, it's not the same as program refugees. Because usually program refugees, the onus is on the government, they do all the vetting and all the process, and usually it's the local authority who takes over in terms of if they're providing housing and where they're kind of based. So program refugees, when they arrive, everything is kind of provided for, and they only stay for a few months in terms of in the AROC centers, just for the process of orientation and all that. And then once they move into the community, they have access to all the services like a normal Irish person. So that's the difference between the community sponsorship, whereby the families are all depending on the communities who are supporting them in general for the first 2 years. But on the other hand, with the resettlement program, it's totally different. The onus is on the government and the local authorities. But other aspect of it, it's still the same in terms of applying for citizenship once they have been in the country for a period of time. So the other thing is the key factors in terms of key features for communities who wants to be involved. So it has to be a minimum of 5 people who wants to sponsor a refugee family, and it can be from any background. It can be faith-based, it can be private industry, sports, social club, neighbors, friends, anybody or a group of people who wants to come together. But they should be from the same locality. Let's say if it is Limerick, if it is Clare or Tipperary, that's our area that we are representing. But also if it is in other areas in the country, there are also other organizations which we can refer you to. And also they must align themselves with the regional RSO, as I said there, like ourselves, like Doras. And they have to take this commitment for 24 months in terms of supporting the family since the whole process and their arrival when they arrive in the state. And also they have to demonstrate in terms of having funds to support the family. So a minimum is 10,000, and you can also raise funds in terms of 2,000 in kind. So it makes it, I know it's an arduous kind of sometimes commitment to make, but it is doable and it is beneficial in terms of you're making sure somebody is getting something out of it. So in terms of, I'll read some of the most important, the role of the communities in terms of, so they have to source in terms of getting accommodation for their family before they arrive. So that is for the 24 months period, that's 2 years minimum. And also be able to raise the funds to support the families in different ways. Also complete the training with ourselves, let's say that's Doras. So we'll do myself, I'll be liaising with whatever organization that in terms of the group that will be involved, I'll be offering the training in terms of doing all the other aspects in terms of children first, if they're doing, in terms of doing the gather vetting with them. Also intercultural training, cultural bias, and also understanding the dynamics of supporting families, resettled families, in terms of their needs, based on our background, also working with resettlement refugees. So all those shortcomings that we found in terms of how to support them through their transition in the state and the time that you're supporting them. So, and even after finishing with that, usually ourselves will be kind of linking in with the group in terms of opening all these other things that, as I said, in terms of the house orientation, in terms of building the connection into the network, and also assisting in administration. So the group will always work with the RSO in terms of every procedure that is there to kind of make sure everything is smooth running. So the main core in terms of community sponsorship is to do with support in terms of communities out there willing to kind of engage and offer a safe haven for the families who are arriving. So it is something that is fulfilling in a way. And also while I was involved, some of the communities who are helping us while we were doing the resettlement under the family advocate, it was kind of fulfilling for some people to kind of see the family transition from different phase from the time they arrive in the state. Also, there's a mutual respect between the two members and the community. And also somebody to be safe, to feel that they're in a safe place and not in a precarious situation like in previously being in the camps. So it is something that most people out there, they're always asking, what can we do? What can we help? So it's something that it's beneficial, and it is something that you can see the progress also. And also, there's also that availability and privacy. It's between both sides. It's a give and take. You are learning from the person and they're also learning from you. And it's also befriending, because you're also creating that network with the families that are arriving and also the people who are involved in the community, because you're also opening up your knowledge, your networks and all that. And also in terms of creativity, as you said, when you're meeting new people, there's so many things that you can learn while you're engaging with those. So it needs a lot of creativity in terms of maneuvering and getting resources to do a lot of things. But also while you're supporting the families for that period, you also, back of your mind, you have to remember that there should be an exit strategy in terms of when that processing of supporting them, even though us as an RSO will still be there supporting you, but also supporting the family. And the role for us, as I said, as the RSO, as Doras, would be to monitor in terms of the sponsorship process while maintaining the distance with the group. Also will be the forefront group and the family in terms of decision making. If there's a conflict, anything in terms of pertinent or requested, we'll kind of liaise with both sides. Also in terms of referral and requests on behalf of the group with the family. And also we will be providing training, as I said, the intercultural training, with regard to also other trainings that you need in terms of making it easier for the group to kind of work through the whole process itself. Also creating channels for communication and act as an intermediate between the community group and the department. So with all the other process. So this is just a synopsis of the roadmap. So it's first, if there's a group out there who wants to engage, they have to register with us, and then we can, in terms of putting in the application form, and once we get it approval, the steps are to set up a bank account with 2 signatories and start the fundraising in terms of getting that 10,000 and handy in terms of doing all the other process. We'll also be helping in graduating and also doing the training with regard to child in terms of the TUSLA training. So I'll be providing the training to people who are involved. Also, we'll be liaising with the group in terms of the settlement plan. And if they found accommodation also, we kind of check if it's suitable and also liaise with the family also, with the group. And also putting up preparation in terms of once the families have been identified by the department and when they're arriving, the communication and the orientation, and also the ongoing support for the 24. And last but not least is regarding the exit strategy and exit planning once the whole program has gone through. So if anybody has a question or they want to call and find out more, my email is down there and my phone number. And also we have the chat. If anybody has a question, they can put it in. And thank you for listening. And